Good afternoon, everyone. It's the last of May down here in Southwest Virginia. As a matter of fact, it is Memorial Day. And I'm out here in my garden and I'm looking at my potatoes. I've got a single row, actually it's a double row of potatoes. It goes all the way out toward the end of the garden. There, it's 60 paces, about 180 feet long. I plant a lot of my crops in double rows. I plant my beans like that, and I plant some other crops like that. The reason being is I can pull dirt up around both sides, and I can water in the middle, and that way I don't have to waste a lot of water. I can just water the plants. So I'll walk down here and show you my beans. I got some beans I just planted the other day, and they're coming up. And you can see here, there's two rows here planted side by side. And if you look on up there, you can see the two stakes. And what happens, I pull the dirt up on each side of each row. And when I water, I just water the middle. It saves a lot on watering, and you're actually just watering the plants and not the space in between the rows. So headed back up to the potatoes again. I planted these like around the 1st of April. So they have been growing about 2 months, and I've got good growth on them. They're blooming right now. Some of them, the blooms have already dropped on some of them, but they're in the blooming stage. And vegetative growth, they've already started to form little potatoes, and from here on out the potatoes will continue to get bigger and bigger, and they'll die. The vines will die sometime in August. There comes a point, even if you keep them watered good, and that they will just die. I mean, they've reached the end of their life cycle. So what you want early on with your potatoes is you want good vegetative growth, because the potatoes that are formed under the ground, they get larger as the days go by, but what feeds them and makes them get larger is the vegetative growth, the leaves. And if you have good vegetative growth early on, then you can get some really super nice potatoes that are formed, some real big potatoes that grow. That is, providing, of course, that you have good nutrients in the soil. Now, one reason that I am making this video is I want to talk a little bit about this little pest here that you see. That is the Colorado potato beetle. That is the larva stage. There's one right there, and there is one right there. Now, what I do with these guys, and you can see I've got a couple plants there that's got holes on them that ate in them a little bit. I go and handpick these guys off. And let me walk back up toward the end of the row here, and I'll show you what I do with them once I pick them off. Is I will put them in an empty soda bottle, and I've got water in there. There's my soda bottle. And I leave it out in the edge of the garden. I just pull some dirt up around it and I leave it there. And if you were to look down in there, you could see some adults and a bunch of ones that I've picked off before. After a few days, or 3 or 4 or 5 days or so, it gets pretty smelly, so I just dump it out, dig a hole and dump it out. Everything in there is dead anyway, so dig a hole and dump it out and cover it up. But I'll walk my potato row here. I'll walk this thing 2 or 3 times a day, and you kind of need to do that to keep these potato beetles from eating up your potato vines, because the leaves on the potatoes are very, very important. You will not get any vegetative growth if you let these little guys here, and I'm going to zoom down on another one here. You will not get any potato growth if these guys eat up your potato vines. Now I want to go down here and I want to show you a couple of potato volunteers that I had come back from last year, and I kind of left them and we pulled some dirt up around them. I want to show you what can happen if you let these things go unchecked. They will eat your potato vines down to nothing almost. You take a look at this one here that's been ate on really bad by these potato beetles. I have picked all the beetles off of this one, but I kind of was concentrating on the row of potatoes over here, and I kind of didn't notice this one until it was really got infested pretty bad with those beetles. So if you let these potato beetles go and don't pick off the larvae, then they will eat every vine down to nothing. This year I have picked off hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of the larvae, the potato beetle larvae. And right here is another one down here, down toward the end of the row. Now mainly what I picked off is a lot of the larva stage. However, I've also picked off a lot of the adults. The adults have a hard shell and they're striped. I picked off a few egg clusters that were underneath the leaves. I just smashed them, or I would take the leaf and put it in a bottle too with the egg clusters on them. Now, an adult potato beetle, the female, can lay up to 500 or 1,000 eggs a year, according to Wikipedia. That's the online encyclopedia. But however, a single egg cluster will only have 20 or 30 or 40 eggs in it. So what happens is they'll lay eggs 10 or 15 times throughout the summer. They'll lay an egg cluster. And I have picked off many mating adult pairs off my plants, and I just pick them off and drop them down in the bottle. You can put a little detergent soap in the bottle, and that kind of helps kill the things. If you just put plain water in there, and drop the adults in there, they will try to swim around, and they'll stay alive in there. So you need to put a little soap in there. Looking down here, I see another larva stage there. I don't have a real bad infestation of potato beetles, although there are some. And the reason why I don't have a real bad infestation, and the reason why I've still got potato vines, is because I have been picking these guys off. Had I not have been picking these guys off and you looked out through there, there would be no potato vines that you could see at all. I mean, they would be down to nothing. So like I said, I have probably this year picked off maybe 50 or 100 adults and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of the little larva stage. Maybe close to 1,000 of the little larva stage. So I like to pick them off. I don't like to use chemicals. I have found in the past, I've tried to use chemicals in the past. It just does not work for me. The best thing to do is to pick these guys off and put them in that bottle, like I say. And after a few days, the bottle gets to be real stinky. You dump it out and put some more water in there and a little bit more detergent, a little bit more soap, dishwashing liquid, and you start fresh. But anyway, I'm out here making this video in the garden about my potato crop, and looks like I'm going to have a good crop of potatoes this year. I planted 50 pounds of red Pontiac potatoes, and I do not plant the whole potato. What I do is I quarter my potatoes. The potato will have multiple eyes on it. So I'll take and cut one potato into several different pieces. I may cut it into half. I may cut it into quarters, or may cut it into thirds. It just depends on how big the potato is and how many eyes are and where the eyes are located. But when I was a little boy, we had a garden and I worked in it. From the time I was 4 or 5 years old, we had a garden where we raised potatoes and corn and cabbage and lettuce and green beans. And I kind of kept that going all my life. And I like to garden, raise potatoes also. Those are tomatoes over there that you're taking a look at there. And then I've got some peas down there. Those are sugar snap peas, which by the way are already in. Haven't had any yet, but they're really, really tasty. But anyway, that's the way to handle your potato beetles on your potato crop. And I expect, well, the 50 pounds that I planted, I expect to get 300-400 pounds or more of production out of these guys. So anyway, that's a little bit about my potato crop out here in the garden. And I got a large garden. It's about a quarter acre. It's about 200 feet by about 40 feet. Turns out to be about 8,000 square feet, about a quarter acre. And I really love gardening and I really enjoy it. So thanks a lot. You folks have a nice day. And if you like my videos, please subscribe. Thanks.